Welcome.
I just have to give it up.
Okay. Here you go, hon.
Yay! You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, just so you know, we have all of the participants muted. So if you want to say something, you can either say it in chat or you can go and unmute yourself, and then you can speak up, and we'll be able to hear you. Sound good? Yay!
How do they unmute themselves?
They'll be able to see it on their side.
Oh, okay.
Let me set this up so we can get the best view in my video. See, it keeps making you. There we go. Okay.
Wow.
Perfect. I like it. And we're recording. Everything's good. We have some people in the room here with us too who are out of sight so that we can get more of us in the video. And this is my friend Miles.
Hi.
And for anyone who doesn't know Miles yet, Miles is an Abraham person from Florida who came to Seattle 5 years ago?
5 years?
For the first time, and he contacted us on the Meetup website, and he said, hey, do you mind if I start coming to your group? I'm here for a little while. And so now Miles is our temporary honorary Seattleite because he and his beloved Reba are here for a couple of months every year. And while he's here, we invite him to come to our meetup with us and to teach and to share his knowledge and his information. So that's a very brief introduction on Miles. He originally started describing himself as Pollyanna on steroids. And we love that description because it really does speak to what Miles is, and he's always positive, always excited to see everyone. And so yeah, so why don't I start by asking you to introduce yourself however you would like.
Sure, thanks. So my metaphysical journey's been a long one, and it started with a book my mother gave me in 1960 called Many Mansions by Gina Sermonara. It was a book about reincarnation, written by Gina about Edgar Casey, who also channeled. And so that was a very, even though it was about reincarnation, that was a very practical experience for me. At that time, we moved every year of my life while I was at home for the first 20 years or so. And during the course of the move, every time I would move, I would make new friends at the new places that we would live. And I developed some bad habits. And one of the bad habits was I would get in with the in-group, and then they had this thing, and they called it in 1960, cutting somebody up, which meant saying things to them that didn't make me feel very good. And at that time, I ended up with a mouth full of canker sores. And from studying Edgar Casey, I knew that this was something to do with me, that my mouth was causing other people pain, and that the pain in my mouth was a result of that. So when I stopped, well, amazingly, it went away. Isn't that a shock? And I mean, it went right away. And that was really amazing to me because I really had a lot of canker sores in my mouth. And over the course of the next few years, it came back a couple of times, but both times I knew where I was failing and I had to watch what I was saying. So that was the start of my metaphysical journey in a practical sense. And one of the things that I learned from that was, if saying bad things to other people, and I was never malicious about that. I usually did it if somebody said something to me. I didn't go out and actually attack somebody. But if somebody was kidding me or pushing me, I just gave it right back to them. And unfortunately, I had a real gift at that. I don't know why, but sometimes I can connect with what's inside a person and find just the little thing that really drives them crazy. So I was glad to work my way out of it because it's a state of mind. You know, when you start thinking along those lines, you start thinking about, well, what if somebody says this to me? And you go, oh, that would be the perfect thing to say in response. And the next thing you know, it's something in your mind. And of course, that's not where you really want to be. So I extrapolated it. I said, well, what if I were to say good things? How would that affect my life? And lo and behold, when I was able to make the transition from seeing the weaknesses in other people and then making comments about those that made them feel bad, when I could relate to the good in them and make comments about that, whoa, that was a really big change in my life. I made friends a lot faster. I was a lot more comfortable in the new situations I found myself in as I moved around.
Your mouth was a lot more comfortable, I expect.
My mouth, yeah. I never had a recurrence of canker sores. So it's been a very practical path that I've taken. And from Edgar Casey, I went to Seth in 1972, and then in 1988, I went to Abe. And they've all been a delight for me. I especially enjoyed Seth, and then that laid a really solid foundation for me to come to the Abe material in 1988, and it deeply resonated with me. And so that's where I started my journey, and that's where I've taken the same practice with each of the materials that I've studied intensely, the Casey, the Seth, and the Abe. And I throw my whole heart and soul into it because I want to use it in my life and I want to get results.
And I love that you were talking about getting results and how long that you've been using it. One of the things that was unique about Miles when he first started coming to our group is he had been studying Abraham since 1988, you just said, which was a good 25 years by the time he met me. And that was really unique for us. We had had a lot of people that had seen The Secret and done some work on their own. We had a few people that had been practicing for quite a while. But having Miles show up who had been thinking about and understanding and practicing the teachings in his life for such a long time was really unique to be able to see that and to see where it can get. And so I've always considered Miles as someone who's in the stage of life of living happily ever after, because he's so practiced at this stuff now. He knows exactly what perspective that he wants to take anytime something comes up. And he really is. He's one of the best people who finds the positive in every single person that he works with.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because one of the topics that I wanted to cover today was channels. Now, of course, Edgar Casey, Seth, and Abraham were all channeled material. But I mean channels in a completely different way. So the way I mean channels is this. Physical reality always mirrors the energetic reality or non-physical reality. Now, I call physical reality framework 1 and the energetic or non-physical reality framework 2. So physical reality always mirrors the changes in framework 2. So the energy's been rising in framework 2, and now we have television stations with 1,000 channels. That is reflective of what's actually going on with us personally and individually. So the way it works is quite amazing, and most people are familiar with this and are not aware. So for instance, for a gifted cook, when they walk into the kitchen, the spices and the herbs start talking to them, or somebody that's a gifted athlete, they just feel a sense of what's going on and a presence and an awareness, and they get in harmony with whatever it is and really enjoy it. Well, it turns out that we have these channels that we switch to in our life all the time. When you get into your car, you get into a different persona. When you get into a phone conversation, you lift it up depending on the person that's on the phone, you follow a different persona. So each one of those is actually a channel. Now, this is really deep, but one of the things I've learned from Seattle is I don't need to water this down. I can go straight to the heart of the matter, even though it's extremely deep. We all know from Mike Dooley that thoughts are things. What we know from Seth is we're a thought of all that is. We are actually all that is, and we have thoughts. We have a lot of thoughts every day. And according to Seth, those thoughts actually are conscious and go out and live their own existence. So what happens in a channel, that's just a series of thoughts that are knitted together according to the law of attraction by like attracts like, which literally organizes everything in the universe. So once you get adapted to your channel and you learn how to use it, what happens is when you start seeing the good in people, you become better and better at fine-tuning that so that your alignment with that particular channel gets deeper and stronger. For instance, on a high-flying disc, so you don't get thrown off into the bushes when there's a wobble. Now, these channels are alive. And when you access a channel by your state of mind, when it's positive and you're seeing positive opportunities out there for yourself, after you leave that channel, it still goes out to work for you. It goes out to bring you the information that you've set with your vibration based on how you feel whatever the topic is that you're talking about. And then when you come back to that channel later, that information comes right to you. So in other words, you get better, stronger, more effective in delivering whatever it is from that channel. And if it's seeing the good in other people, as soon as you walk up to them, they light up. Some part of them lights up. Their eyes, their necklace, their clothes, the way they're carrying themselves. So for instance, for me, that's all I can see. I literally can't see something bad about a person. I'm not just saying that, it's actually true. And
that's why we love you.
Oh, thank you. And that's also why it's so easy for me to relate to something positive and make a connection with that person, because I switch to that channel. And especially when I go to an Abe group like the Abraham-hicks or in Tampa, the GTS LOA group, as soon as I get there, I am literally sky high. And so relating to the people is easy for me.
I love that you brought that up, because one of the things that I was going to talk about is you've told stories that you were married a few years ago and your wife would complain that everybody that came within 3 feet of you was already happy. So of course you had a wonderful, easy life.
Yeah, I love that. And it started to bother me after a while. And because she brought it to my attention, she goes, sure, it's easy for you to be happy. Everybody that you meet is already happy. And after she said it quite a few times, I had to recognize that was true. And I started to feel like I was a joy machine, just went around. And people loved to see me and I loved to see them. And it was really fun. We would have really fun. You know, when I would go to the grocery store, I knew the people at the bakery. I knew the people at the meat counter. In fact, they had all my stuff ready. I would just go and say hi, wave. They'd push everybody out of the way of the line and hand me whatever it was that I was there to pick up. And so it was just a delight to go. I just love going to the grocery store because I love seeing all of my friends. And I had a really important point there. What was it that you said? Oh, yes, the Ed group. Thank you. So what happened was I decided to ask Esther about it. And Esther said, when I told her exactly what I've said to you, about, my wife was upset and said it was easy for me to be happy because everybody I met was happy. Esther said these words which changed my life in a deep way. She said, they don't have a choice. They don't have a choice. Wowee. Bells and whistles went off all over, because that was the whole reason I asked the question. Am I usurping their free will by somehow being the person that I am? And I had to rework my whole view of reality, of people especially. And so my new view is this, that every person is all that is. They're infinite. And the part of them that shows up in my life is the part that matches my vibration. And that's it. It's that simple. There are a few ramifications to that are really powerful. Abe tells us again and again that we live in a world of absolute well-being. I love that. That's so gutsy to get out there and say, absolute? Are you joking me? In this society, in this world? And that's pure guts. Absolute well-being. But after I came to understand, Seth said, there's no overlap in our realities whatsoever. In physical reality, there's no overlap between my reality and Rebecca's or my beloved's, Reba's. And Abe says, again and again, there's no insertion in your reality from anywhere in the universe. And since we live in our own world, and Seth describes in 40 volumes, in minute detail, exactly how you create your reality if you're interested. Because we're creating our own reality, the only thing that can be there is us. And the people in our reality are there because they love us unconditionally, and they've agreed to follow our script. And if we're in their reality, it's vice versa, Now, we don't always give people a good script to follow. Sometimes it can be challenging.
Sometimes they play the villain.
Sometimes they play the villain. But what they're always doing is reflecting us back to us. I love what Carl Jung said in 1905. All we do is go through life meeting ourselves in 10,000 disguises. Now, the other benefit to this is 100% responsibility. So whatever's in my life, I have control of, and I'm responsible for. Well, that's the way I want it. I'm not very comfortable with it. Reeve and I get a little upset with each other because there's a lot of times you really want to blame somebody else, especially if you're uncomfortable. But we usually get a grip pretty fast, because the first time we went out, she said, I want somebody that takes 100% responsibility. I thought, oh my God, I've gone to heaven early. Because I want somebody that'll take 100% responsibility. But what we didn't realize was how deep that is. And that there's no end to our responsibility. That also means there's no end to our power. And that also means there's no end to the fact that we create our own reality.
That's right. No end to that.
Yeah, it's a great place to live from.
Since you brought up Reba, would you mind sharing one of my favorite stories about you guys? The story of how you each manifested each other.
Sure, I'd just be delighted. It's so fun. So, do you want to let Reba sit there?
Yes.
This is my beloved Reba, and we're holding hands here. And so what happened was 5 years ago, my wife, who was in perfect health, passed away very quickly, overnight practically, from a heart incident that it shut down her liver and kidneys, and in a day, a little over a day, she was gone. And after she passed, the people in the hospital were just wonderful to me. and they set up a private room for me, and I laid down next to her body in the hospital. We cried and held her, and she came to me. At first, I had a hard time believing it, but there was no doubt after a while. And she came like as a spirit, like Tinkerbell. And I think that's pretty appropriate because she was happy and she was joking and she loved to kid me, and she sure was. And then as time went on, as I processed her death, her transition to a happier place, although she was happy and very, very complete and very, very happy. That's what she said to me when I laid down next to her. She said that over and over. And my friends who had called the hospital, he's a newspaper guy, so he knew how to get right in, they actually patched them right through to her bed. And she talked to them. They were the last people that talked to her. And they didn't tell me this until after she'd passed, but she told them twice in that conversation the exact word she said to me, which was she was complete and very, very happy. She said that twice so that she was comfortable with whatever happened. So clearly she was ready in a way for that transition. And I felt like she'd been putting me, I had retired a couple of years before. She didn't want me to retire, but I did it anyway because I knew I could, and it gave us 2 wonderful years together, which turned into an intensive training program getting me ready for Reba, because we had divided our lives into boxes. I was the working box and she was the house box, and they never touched. So I didn't know how to do anything at home. I was great at my job at work. And one day, shortly after I retired, I said to her, "You know, honey, I'd like retirement to be as good for you as it is for me." At which point she literally gave me everything to do around the house. I mean, everything, except the bills. But even that, she would sit me down, open up her notebook and say, "This is how it works and this is where it's going." So I had to learn how to do laundry, cook, clean. I was already doing the shopping and errands. And I realized later it was in preparation for my relationship with Reba to get me up to like a baseline of being a contributor, a healthy contributor in a relationship. And after about 2 months, I'd gone through grief counseling at hospice, but I didn't really need it. And I was honest with them. I mean, I did the whole course, but my wife was there with me and I didn't miss her, and she was kidding me and joking with me all the time, needling me and pushing me. So my friends started saying, "Well, you know, after a couple of months, you should start going to Match.com or eHarmony.com or something like that." Excuse me. And I said, "No, I've been teaching this law of attraction stuff, and if I really believe in it, I'm going to do it that way." And I really believed it. So Esther has this thing about 15 seconds, 17 seconds, 34, 51, 68 seconds is like 2 million work hours. Wow. So I thought, well, I'm just going to lay here in bed one Sunday morning and visualize loving and being loved. I didn't have a list. And so for a minute or two, I really felt that very strongly. So strongly, I almost felt like I levitated from the bed. I'm not sure I didn't, to be honest. So that afternoon, a friend called me, and my wife from the other side kept telling me to go to church, but I couldn't figure out what church. In Florida, there's a church on every corner. So as soon as he called me and invited me to church, I knew it was the one, because I had gone to that church a couple years before, absolutely loved it, very metaphysical, and tried to get her to go. But she said no. So I was heartbroken. I had to stay home and watch football on Sundays. It was a real sacrifice. So I go to church with my friend. I walk in the door, As I'm standing in the doorway, the first person I see is my beloved Reba. She's going to speak that week about astrology, so you know it's a pretty New Age church. And she looked breathtaking. I was gobstruck. I mean, literally, it just sucked the breath right out of me and went, oh my God. And it turned out that he brought me there to meet somebody, not Reba. So I go in and with my friend, and he starts pointing me in the direction of the person he wanted me to meet. And so, he's literally pushing me over there. And I go over, I introduce myself. She was very nice, very polite. We're really good friends now. But she had just gotten back together with her boyfriend, and they were going scuba diving in the Keys, and she didn't care less about me. And which was great with me, because I turned around and made a beeline for Reba and said, Miles Blount, damn glad to meet you. And at that point, I'm going to turn the story over to Reba.
Okay. So, like Miles, I also wanted to have a relationship. And I had been single for a few years, but I had done eHarmony and Match.com. And so I had a little more resistance than he did. So I was needing to shift my energy to be a match for a relationship. So I had found a book, I had bought a book called Calling in the One. And this is a 7-week course where you really go within yourself. And it's really about becoming the one. It's not, 10 tips how to meet a man or anything like that. It's really about looking deeply within yourself and just becoming a match for a relationship. And Rebecca happens to have the book, and this is it, Calling in the One, and it's by Catherine Woodward Thomas. And this is just a very wonderful book to really get you connected to what you want and to the really deeper part of yourself. So this was the 1st of November, and I said to myself, I'm going to do this course, and I am giving myself a relationship for Christmas. So I talked to a couple of women at church and asked them to do it with me. And so we would do, there's like something to do every day. And then we would meet and discuss, what we had learned that week and so forth. And so time moved on, and I was feeling really positive about it. And I'd actually gotten to the point where, like I was happy if I had a relationship, but if I didn't, that was totally fine too. So the day that he came to church was December 19th, and that I only had 5 days left of my course. And when I met him, that was the start of this wonderful man in my life. Christmas was like on Friday, I think, of that year, like 5 days later. So I literally gave myself a relationship for Christmas. And here he is.
And it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. My wife was wonderful, and this has even been more wonderful. And the part that I like the best is my wife took me to her, 1, and 2, after we got together in our relationship, my wife kept nagging at me, hey, you know what? You can do a little better this time, cook a little more, clean a little more, help out and be a better team member a little more. And I think that's really helped me, and it really helped our relationship.
And she's been very helpful from the other side, and she's really given, helped us and given us tips, which I think is pretty amazing. That probably stretches people some. One other piece I want to say, just to be really clear, that when you hold an intention and you don't veer from that intention, you pay no attention to what is. You just hold what you want. So one of the things I did during this course is I wrote a story about this person, and not about, how tall or anything like that, but just the experiences I wanted. I wanted somebody, who would love my family and my sons and my grandchildren. And living in Florida, I paid no attention to that. I said, I want somebody who would like to live in Seattle part of the year. So when I read this little story to my girlfriends, one of them in particular, she was really funny. She didn't say much at that time, but she told me later, she said, when you read that about someone living in Seattle, I thought, oh, sure, And so I meet Miles, and the first thing we do, I had a trip planned out here. And he said, well, can I go with you? I mean, this is like February. And I thought, well, hey, let's see. And so he came out here. He loved Seattle. And anybody who loves Seattle in February, that's great because you were having some rain. And so he loves Seattle. So we've ended up coming out here, every summer. So even though you're dreaming something that might feel impossible or that people might think isn't possible, when you hold that, your spirit just clears the pathway. And that can happen even if it seems like it's ridiculous. I love telling that part of the story because usually people who live in Florida don't necessarily want to be in Seattle and vice versa, because there's a big difference in the temperature. So that's just something I wanted to add.
And she had a really good technique that she used too. She actually recorded that story. And when she would go out to work in the yard, she loves the garden, and she would play that in her with her recorder,
earphones.
with her earphones, while she worked in the garden doing something that she loved. Yeah.
So that's my part of the story, and it's been fun sharing it.
Yay! Thank you for sharing that, Reba. I kind of put her on the spot when I got here this afternoon. I said, hey, Reba, would you like to tell your part of the story on camera for everyone to see? So I'm really proud that she was willing to do that.
And I am too, dear. Thank you very much. It really meant a lot to me.
And so I love that success story that we started out with. Another story that I would love to have you share with people is your success at work. And
sure.
With your team members. And a big part of that seems to have been, from the stories you told me, because I never actually worked with you, was connecting the best in people, only seeing the best in them and recognizing that and making that be the dominant vibration that you were emitting, and then what happened because of that.
So I've had some really wonderful, powerful successes in my life. And so the first one I want to share is when I won the President's Award at Miller Brewing Company. A very prestigious award. And I had applied for a job that was brand new. They had just created it. And I wasn't sure how I was going to make it work. And so I got the job, and all of a sudden it became clear that they had a different vision than I did. And their vision was that I was going to work. And my vision was that I wasn't going to work.
Does that sound familiar, anybody?
Yeah. Because my thought was this: I'm one person in a facility that had 2,000 people, and I'm only going to do X number of jobs. It was a cost improvement coordinator was the title of the position, reporting directly to the plant manager. And I said, how many projects am I going to do? And we've got 2,000 enormously talented people here. There's probably no limit to what they can do. So I tried, what I actually did was I dreamed about it, and I followed my dreams' inspiration. And they told me some really simple things to do, like set up a cover sheet that makes sure that the person that has the project or the idea gets all the credit. Make sure that everybody from the plant manager on down signs that, so that when they get that piece of paper, they can see that everybody's seeing that it was them that did the work, it was their idea, and what the savings were that resulted from that. So that was the start. And what happened was it literally exploded, so that we had, within a year and a half, 200 active projects, generating $10 million a year in savings. Now, you could take the savings for 1 year. And then after that, the project goes into whatever it is. You know, maybe it's a one-time savings, but maybe it's perpetual. You know, if you're raising your efficiency, well, that becomes the new baseline. So if you're going to save more money the next year, you have to raise your efficiencies again. So for 5 straight years, we had 200 active projects and saved $10 million a year, $50 million. And at the end of the second year, I received the President's Award. And of course, I didn't do any of the projects. So it felt a little funny to me. But what I was clear on, that I set up systems, an audit system, tracking systems, and I brought people in from the outside. I loved working with the university, Syracuse University, and bringing in interns. And oh my God, the stuff that the interns did for us was simply amazing, because when a person's working on a full-time job, they don't always have the time to devote to their project, but they know what they want to do. And at that time, we were paying the interns around $20 an hour, which in 1976 was quite a bit of money, but cheap for the money that we saved. And that got staggering results. I mean, literally, we saved millions of dollars a year because these interns were young, bright, and didn't know that they couldn't do the impossible. And they did every day. So it was lots of fun. And I just kept following my intuition, my insight. I never did do a project. I went out and looked at a couple and thought, what do I want to go up here in this conveyor system when it's hot? When we've got engineers that can do this, and what am I going to figure out about this? So I stuck to my guns about the way that I thought it should be done, the way it felt right to me, which was to empower other people and make sure that they got the credit. And then while I was there, I started an MBA program, and that worked out extremely well for me too. Now, the first time I went to college, I whizzed through in just 10 years. That's right, 10 years. So, and there were a few bumps in the road. After my wife got pregnant, she got advanced stage Hodgkin's disease, and then I was working at a steel mill while I went to college on the weekends and did my electrician apprenticeship at night. So it took a little longer, but I loved school, so I never gave up on that. I honestly thought that electrician apprenticeship was my ticket to life, and it actually turned out to be, because my career ultimately became a maintenance manager for both Miller and maintenance superintendent at Miller, and then a maintenance manager at Coca-Cola. So it did pay off, but not particularly at the time. Because right after I graduated, I got my job at Miller, and so I never was actually an electrician, although I did enjoy that work as well. So in my MBA program, I had this technique, and I want to share it because it was amazing. And the technique was this: I know I'm smart. I'm not a humble person. And so all I wanted was a fair chance, an even playing field. So I just wanted professors that tested what they taught. So whenever I heard somebody talking about a good professor, I would run a mile down the street to get that professor's name and the subject. And then I would go home and put it in a folder. And when it came time to take my next course, I'd get my folder out and see if any of these professors were available. And this was a big program, because if you get your MBA as you finish college, it's 30 credit hours. But when you go 5 years later, it's 60 credit hours. So it was a fabulous program. Just absolutely loved it. The people there were from all over the world. About 60% of the people were from out of the country. And I had this great map collection. I'd bring it in, and we would work together on projects and groups too. And they would tell me about their family, where they were born, the food they ate, their religion. Oh, it was just fabulous. So I would always get these professors. And naturally, I did well. In fact, I did extremely well. In fact, I only got 1 B+. All the rest I got were A's. I was a little disappointed. In some classes, I actually did so well, they didn't have an A+ grade, but I thought they should. Because I thought, well, when you do that well, shouldn't you get an A? But they said that grade doesn't exist. That's the professor, right? So it even got to the point where it's getting to the end and it's economics. I'm finishing up the program. And they said, no, these economics professors. But there was a Dr. Wolf. That's the guy you want. So I call the economics department and I say, when's Dr. Wolf teaching? Well, they said he's a dean now at a local community college. And they said, we'd love to have him back, but he's a dean. So I called Dr. Wolf and I said, they'd love to have you back. And he said, you know what? I'd like to teach a course or two just to break up the monotony of being a dean. And by goodness, he did. He signed up for it, and I and my buddies at Miller, we took our 2 economics, advanced economics courses from him, and it was great. And since we worked at Miller, to show our appreciation, we showered him with beer. I mean, we didn't pour beer on him, but we bring him free cases of beer. And it was really fun, and he was a great teacher. And it was a wonderful experience. And what was really wonderful is my graduation was downplayed from college, but when I graduated in my MBA program, my parents came, and I stood up and received the Outstanding Academic Achievement Award at Syracuse University, so that was really fun for me. And so that's the technique. The universe is always bringing you a path to where you want to go. And I had so much joy and enthusiasm in that program that it was easy for me to get a good result. And then the last story is about, I did a lot of teamwork and team building at Miller as well. We installed a program called Teams and Problem Solving, and I was one of the implementers because I was the cost improvement coordinator. And it was just great working with these teams. We gave the people a lot of training. I knew how to work with groups. And so I had a lot of confidence in people because one of the things they did was there was no manager in the group. These were people of employees on the line that came up with their own projects, their own ideas, implemented them to make the work environment better. So over the years, I developed enormous trust in their abilities. So when they closed this plant down, whoops, Miller made a mistake. They built an extra, that's right, I said an extra $600 million brewery. Yeah, light beer had taken off. They were trying to keep ahead of the curve. Turned out at the end, they were 1 brewery ahead. And they shut our brewery down, even though it was relatively new, because the state of Ohio had given them $300 million to build a brewery there. And after 5 years, Ohio sent them a letter and said, they sent them a letter every year, and every year Miller said they were going to open. And then the last year they said, we don't care if you open, send us back the $300 million. At which point our plant got closed down and their plant opened up. So I was in a great position. I'd had a lot of wonderful experiences at Miller, and my family moved to Florida. I love Florida. I was coming down on vacations. So, and I had my MBA now. So I took a job with Coca-Cola. And when I came down to interview, I loved it because they had the employees, not just the managers, but the employees interview me. And I thought, oh, wow, this is great. Because I had put a program as maintenance superintendent, I had helped put a program like that in place at Miller where the employees interviewed the new employees. And wow, as soon as we did that, the quality of the employees that we hired shot through the roof. I mean, after that, we literally never hired a bad employee. But it's really easy to get over on managers. What do they know about the jobs? Or the HR piece? People. How much do they know about what's going on in the trenches? But you can't fool the people that are doing the jobs. You know, they'll talk to you, and so we worked for quite a while with HR to set up the questioning. So when the people questioned me, I just loved it. But of course, I got to know them. Now, the plant that I was coming to in Coca-Cola was a disaster. They had tried to do a reorganization, and the maintenance manager literally went nuts. He went into a mental institution, never recovered. So I was walking into a bit of a disaster. They'd had 5 supervisors and a maintenance manager, and it was going to be me. But I had so much confidence in the people that I interviewed with and so much previous training working with people to set up programs that would take advantage of their skills that it seemed like a natural fit to me. And oh my gosh, it worked out so much better than I could ever have imagined. The plant was running at 47% efficiency. It was an orange juice plant. They made frozen concentrated orange juice for Minute Maid that also supplied the McDonald's, all the McDonald's restaurants. So I just came in and started working with the people and harvesting their ideas. So I knew a huge amount about technology, cutting-edge technology, infrared thermography, vibration analysis, laser alignment, oil analysis, and electrical system analysis. I knew a great deal about these things because I had worked with other people putting them in place. And of course, not even to mention the computers. We had up to 7 layers of nested computers using vision acquisition systems and all. So a really talented bunch of people I had to work with. And as they came to me with their ideas, I just kept unleashing them. I'd say, well, that's a great idea. Go ahead and do that. Or what do we need to do to buy that equipment? Or can I? And the universe just got so in line with that. It turned out that they had a vibration analysis system that they had disabled. Just put it back into service, $80,000 saved. But vibration analysis tells you when your rotating equipment's going to fail, and in a factory full of machines, this is gigantic. And just one thing like that after another. And pretty soon we were drowning in money, because as the efficiencies rocketed up, in 3 years we were almost at 100% efficiency. We were drowning in money, and we got the employees down to a 4-day work week in the summer when we weren't squeezing oranges. And we were getting about 10 ideas per person in the plant that we implemented per year, every year, improving operation. And of course, I wasn't part of that, but the maintenance people that worked for me, I told them to, talk to the employees, get their ideas. If it was under $1,500, didn't even come see me. Just go ahead and do it. And oh my God, it's like unleashing a tornado. Just good things poured in. And it was wonderful to see people's self-esteem go from a low level, oh, we can't do this right, oh, we can't get this right, oh, it's another disaster, to, oh my God, we can do anything. And it's getting better, and we're going to make it better yet. So that was a really fun experience for me. And along the way, one of the things I learned was very often people would want to tell me about bad employees. And I just stopped them. After the second time, I said, you know what? I'll figure it out on my own. Because the truth was, I didn't run into any bad employees. The truth was that when I listened to them, I would repeat back what they said to see if I got it. And the next thing you know, we were working together. I just didn't run into people that, it turns out that there's a lot of really good people. In fact, let me say it differently. There's a lot of great people out there with an amazing amount of talent, just looking for a way to express it. I mean, I never paid a single person extra for their ideas that saved millions of dollars, whether it was Miller or at Coca-Cola. They did it because they loved being effective. They loved enjoying themselves. They loved contributing. And that's the way, in my experience, that people are in general.
I love it. I love it so much. Now, since people are starting to get a little restless here, we're going to take a quick break, maybe 10 minutes, and move a few things around, and then we'll be back. So in the meantime, anybody who has any questions, feel free to type them in the chat, and I will check it when we come back before we get started. And you keep asking questions whenever they come up if you like. And we will put this on mute, and we'll see you in 10 minutes. Yay! Hello, people. Okay, we're still waiting for a couple people to come back, but we will sit here. And I do see that we have a question on the chat. It's closer, so it's both of us. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so we have a question from Melissa, and if Melissa would like to unmute herself and talk a little bit more about this. I don't think either one of us are familiar with the story, but you're welcome to if you would like to. Yay! No, it's all right. Oh, come on in. It's all good. We're just giving people another minute or two to connect and work. You see, I wonder if I have to manually unmute the participants. Oh, and we have a couple of people on the phone too, which is wonderful. Okay, Melissa, can you hear us? No worries. She says, I'm sorry, I'm having tech issues. I think I had to unmute you manually. Now I think we can hear you. Want to talk and see?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, loud and clear.
Yay.
Okay. Sorry for the echo.
No, it's okay. Let's see. If you want, you're welcome to talk more about your question. I just thought it'd be nice to let you ask it in person instead of on chat. There's people here who can't see the chat, so you're welcome to start from the beginning.
Okay. So I'm sort of, I guess just to put it plainly, I'm just waiting for a decision regarding my future from a district attorney's decision will determine my fate for the next few months. So I'm going back and forth between believing that I can control or rather create what this outcome will be versus the whole theory of the law and what that district attorney is going to say. So I have a little bit of a battle going back and forth in myself, if that makes sense.
It does.
Oh, yeah, it definitely does. And yeah, I had a good friend that had an experience like that. And I found that I was challenged as well, especially to keep a good attitude, a positive attitude. So one of the techniques that I used that Reba introduced me to was hiring the heavens, who are working with angels. And so that's exactly what I did. And I had, and there's a, so the book is called Hiring the Heavens, and it's by
Gene Slater.
Gene Slater. And I used that book, and it was very, very powerful, and made a lot of important and powerful changes in my life. So I'm not going to try and go over it here, but I'll tell you a couple of the techniques. One is, first of all, it turns out that there's a lot of unemployed angels because not a lot of people are using them. And you get them at a really good rate. I think it's actually a discounted rate. And next, so Reba and I now have about 200 angels that we use. We have to have them on a spreadsheet to remember them all. We use Sunny for the weather, Emily Post for, good relations with other people. I use Traveler and James every time I get on the car, get in the car or get on a plane. We use Missy for miscellaneous details. And the list just goes on. And the more you use them, the better it gets, because the more you get attuned to them. So one of the techniques that I use is to fill the room with angels and have them touch every person involved. So to create a circle. And I find that particular technique especially powerful.
Would you like to go through that technique and kind of put it in her situation so you can maybe see the people in the court? Or
so one of the things that I found that worked especially well was following your intuition, paying attention to your feelings. So this is the way it works, and this is very Abish. So the angels in my world sort of work independently, although we give them mission statements, we set up committees, we give them tasks, we follow up on the tasks. So,
and you don't have to make it a lot of hard work if you don't want to, but
yeah,
he happens to find it really fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of my background. So, you know, I'm used to working with lots of people and committees and so on. So that really resonated with me, but Rebecca's absolutely right. My mother has one angel. Her name is Jeannie for the television show that was on TV.
I Dream of Jeannie.
I Dream of Jeannie. Thank you very much. One works just fine. So one of the things I try and do is really pay attention to my feelings. And then, because this is where all the work is going to be. All the work is going to be in your mind, all of it. So when I feel bad, when I'm thinking about whatever situation it is, what I do is go within myself and review the principles that I already know. I am God. I am the creator, and I'm in charge. So at some point, and there's only one river of energy in this universe, and that's pure positive energy. So everything else is something that I'm creating. That's not the way it actually is. So the question is, how do I get in harmony with that energy that's trying to support me every second? You know, Esther says frequently, you're the center of the universe. And in my world, you absolutely are. And it goes far deeper than that. In a quantum level, the world gets recreated countless times every second. And during that time, there's something called the 0 point. And at the 0 point, every particle of the universe, every particle of energy is conscious, part of all that is. And it actually, at the 0 point, aligns with me, just like it aligns with everybody. In the dimensionality of non-physical, this is the way it is. Every point is literally the center of the universe, and naturally we are too. And because these particles are non-dimensional, that means that they extend across many dimensions. So every instant when these particles are at the 0 point, they're in communication with each other. That means there's really no secrets in the universe. Everything is telepathic. Every particle of the universe is telepathic with every other particle. And they're all aligned with you, and they're all in this for your good, because that's the only energy there is, pure positive energy. So when you start working on these problems, pay close attention to how you're feeling, your emotional guidance system. And when you feel bad, you're going to find that you're out of alignment with one of the big three, and that's where your work's going to be. Absolute well-being, infinite love, infinite expansion, which is also infinite abundance. Those are the big three from Abe and Esther. And then once you discover that, which one you're out of alignment, and it might be all three, then you need to find a way to get back into alignment with feeling safe, and you're going to have to find your own path. But the path is there. It's inside of you. And if you intend to see what you want to see, and so create the outcome you want in your mind, and the universe will start delivering a non-stop stream of good ideas to carry you there. You always have 30 or 40 lined up, and if you use this one, the one after it's even better. And if you use that one, the one after that is even better yet, because you're getting more and more attuned with the infinite pure positive energy of the universe. Now, the key is to get yourself in a good feeling place. And that's pretty hard looking up the barrel of that gun, but that's the work. So you're in this position for your growth. In other words, the universe has no lessons for you. Nobody's trying to teach you anything. This is not there for your good, for instance. This is there because it's reflecting a limiting belief you have about reality that's not in alignment with the pure positive energy of the universe, and you have a blocking belief that won't allow the energy to carry you to where you want to go. So the universe's only agenda is to get you to where you want to go. It doesn't have an agenda. The universe is not here. You're here. You're the most exquisite expression of all that is possible on the leading edge of this reality, as messy as it is. So the goal here is to line up with your own power, in essence, is what I'm talking about. Because as you learn to work these principles, and when you go inside yourself, you will find the answers. As you set your intentions and intend to see what you want to see, the good outcome, the universe will continue to deliver one thing after another that supports you in getting in a good feeling place. And then miracles start to happen, because this is what happens. When you get in alignment with your inner spirit, the miracle of all miracles happens, which is timing. That's the one characteristic of the vortex. It turns out that the timing, I'm trying to think how Seth put it this way, that in framework 2, the infinite number of probabilities and possibilities are all engineered in order to support your outcome seamlessly. You don't know any of the details, but look, you don't know any of the details about how you breathe, or how you move your arm, or how you speak words, and yet you do it flawlessly every day. And so the universe can take care of these endless details in order to support the outcome you want. The key is putting yourself in a good feeling place. And that's the work, because once you do that, you're getting in alignment with the energy, and the energy can flow to the outcome that you want. Does that help?
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm in tears. I just keep telling myself, alignment trumps everything. Alignment trumps everything. I just keep telling myself that over and over. Get their feeling place. Get to the feeling place of that. So thank you so much.
That's so brilliant. So brilliant. And you've got right to the heart of the matter. Absolutely. I go to that church. Alignment trumps everything. When Reba and I came back from our cruise, we made that our number one priority. We're retired, so we get to do this all day, every day. And we did that. And oh my God, our lives became amazing in a heartbeat. Every day that we got in alignment, we would stay in alignment longer and longer, one. And two, those days were filled with beautiful synchronicities. And then over time, it went so well for a month, we did it a second month. But then after that, we sort of slipped away from that and got back into the real world. I don't know how that happened. And then we started to realize that, whoa, whatever we were doing, whatever our priorities were, they were wrong. The top priority is get into alignment. That trumps everything. So you just totally nailed it, Melissa.
Thank you.
I refused to get out of bed before I found that aligned place. I said, I'm not leaving my bed until I'm there. And that's really useful on the weekends when I'm not having to work. And sometimes I do it even when I do have to work. Another thing to remember that is always helpful to me is that the circumstances don't determine your alignment. The thoughts that you're thinking about the circumstances are what determine alignment. So no matter what the outcome is of this decision, you can still think thoughts that bring you into alignment about anything and everything. There's a TV show that I never really watched much of, but I think it's called Orange is the New Black. And it was a story about this young girl who accidentally became a drug smuggler and ended up coming back to the U.S. and getting put in jail. But she had been, like, she didn't get caught right away, and she had a few months knowing that she was going to end up in jail, that the decision had already been made and she had to show up at some point in the future. And just the whole idea that, yes, I am going to jail, but I'm going to find a way to be happy there anyway. And I didn't watch very much of the show. I don't think that permeates the show because that's not good enough drama for TV. But there was that little piece at some point in one of the first episodes, and I thought, that's so brilliant. So what if I end up in jail, or what is the worst thing that could possibly happen? I can still think better thoughts about that. No one controls my thoughts. My thoughts are my business and nobody else's.
You know, I actually read a book, a true story that exactly followed those lines. And the same scenario, it was going to be some months, and she took that time and was able to create a different outcome. She did not go to jail through an unusual set of circumstances, but hey, every moment's a miracle anyway. And it turned out that the way they had done the paperwork and what had actually happened, she never actually spent a day in jail. Now, I don't know if that's a possibility for you, but the idea is that I know that from my MBA program, I had a fabulous law professor and I took some courses, and it's a different world. It's one that you really don't know anything about. And you know what? Don't even try and know about it. That's their world. Leave it to them. As much as you can avoid the legal system, avoid it. When my wife passed away, people said, you know, you can sue them. You really can sue them. You're sure to get money. And all I could remember was Abe saying, don't get involved in the legal system. And I thought that I probably could sue them. And who knows the outcome. I was pretty sure that the people that were going to end up paying were the nurses. And they had a couple problems with the medications they gave her, and they called me up and told me at the time. But I was clear that some poor nurse that's out there in the trenches fighting to keep my wife alive with everything she's got that really cares is not the person. That's going to be the fall person, but that's not the person I want to bring suit against. If it was anybody, it was that Indian doctor trying to tell me everything was going to turn out fine. There was no problem. They were just going to do one more surgery. You know, they were squeezing them in as fast as they could. And it turned out to, you know, when you're not doing well in a hospital, it turns into a real money-making machine.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to get the Hiring the Heavens. Is that what it's called?
Oh, it's such a great book. I love it. And it only takes about an hour and a half to read, and you're going to love every second of it. It's just, she's so practical, and what a great story.
Thank you for taking the time to answer this and for just being able to see this presentation today. So thank you both.
You're
Most welcome, Melissa.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and mute you now so you can do whatever you need to do there. And then we'll go back to Miles, and because I did have a couple of more success stories that I wanted to prompt you to tell us. Earlier this summer, we did the Mo Money group, and we had a lot of people coming in and telling us success stories about their money and their financial situation. And I know Miles has a couple. Would you be willing to share?
Sure. You know, before I go there, I want to speak a little bit about a passion of mine, and that is that at this time, we're all growing into our godhood. That's really what it amounts to. The energy's rising, and we're growing into our all that isness. And that, a big, big part of that is our multidimensionality. Now, for those of you that meditate, dream, or have had other experiences, you're familiar with what I'm talking about. But as you learn to tune to these channels that I was telling you about before, you'll become more and more aware of your multidimensionality. And of course, it played a big part in my life because my wife was on the other side in non-physical, playing a part in my life. So one of the things that happened was I pay attention to my intuition. So when the market crashed in 2000, around the end of 2007, the market was getting pretty wobbly. So I wrote all my brothers and I said, listen, I'm just taking all my money out of the stock market. And sure enough, it wasn't long after that, March, April, May, somewhere in there, it started really going down. And then the next thing you know, it was in a full-fledged tank and just literally crashing.
That was when the U.S. stuff was deregulated, so yeah.
So what happened was, but it wasn't like I had quit following the market. I was following it, but I'm not paying a lot of attention. I didn't have any money in there, so, you know, but it was interesting to me. And then one day in October, I'm sitting on the couch and my spirit says, invest, invest. Now the market's still crashing. And I took every cent I had from 40 plus years of hard work and I invested it all right then.
Brianna looks terrified right now.
And I followed my spirit. And so I'd done it, but then I got wobbly for a second. At the end of that, after I got all my money invested, about 15 minutes later, I decided to check, and I was down $35,000. So it was gut check time, and this was like Esther talking about Abe. I could not do it. I said, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I did it. I know it's the right thing in my gut. I swear to God, I think it was that literal moment when the market came out. And for 2 days, the market rocketed up. And at the end of 2 days of sitting on the couch making a fortune, I said, I thought I was making these investments. See, this is the thing. If you use your intellect, your logic, and your intelligence, all that's getting in the way. And I thought I was making a long-term investment. But at the end of 2 days, my spirit said, nope, now's the time to cash out. So at the end of 2 days, I literally sold everything I had. I hadn't even got the last stock sold before it turned around and started crashing again and continued for a long time. So 2 days sitting on my butt, being happy, I made $140,000 just following my intuition. And remember, I had a $35,000 deficit to overcome. So the point is that when the key I find, and I'm not saying take all your money out there and do this, one of the things that I recommend you do is test yourself and talk to your guides or talk to your inner spirit. So there are websites out there where you can trade virtually if you wanted to do something in the stock market, for instance. So follow your intuition and see how it works out virtually trading. And then when you feel comfortable with that, you're going, wow, I'm in alignment with this. Wow, when I turn to that channel, I'm really there. Now, let me tell you a little bit more. So my wife went nuts. She said, wow, you made that much money in 2 days. This is what we're going to do. Well, now, I was retired. I mean, you know, I was having a great life. I really didn't want to sit on that couch and do this all day, every day, but she had a different vision. So I did park my butt on that couch and did begin to trade. And I did it the exact same way. I followed my intuition. And one day, I'm sitting on the couch and the market's going down and my intuition's saying, put your money in. And then it keeps going down and says, put more money in. And then it keeps going down and it says, and so I had a lot of money in there. Actually, because you could do it on margin, I had way more money than I actually had. Needless to say, my guts were churning. And the market turned around and started going up. And when it got to even, I sold because it was such a gut-wrenching experience for me. And if I had stayed in the market, I would have made $100,000 that day alone. But I just didn't have the courage. I didn't have the guts for it. I was so glad to get out with the skin on my back. Now, in that 3 months, I made about $50,000. So it wouldn't have been bad, but it wasn't what I made in 2 days, and it wasn't the way I wanted to spend my life. So at the end of that, I said, hon, you know what? We got enough money. This is not what I'm going to do. And so the key is paying attention to your feelings. And I might even say having somebody you can talk to.
That's why we're so big on creating a community for yourself, because it's really, really helpful.
Yeah, it's really helpful to have other people that actually have experience that you can talk to, even if in the end you're going to follow your own intuition, your own gut experience.
Which should always be the case.
Yes. Oh, look, you're the one in the game, not anybody else. And not that many people are going to raise their hand and say, oh, don't worry about it. I want to give you all your money back. Really? I don't think that's happening. So it comes down to you in the end.
Yeah, it's us. And for those of you that are interested, one of the Mo Money interviews that I did was with Sanjay Patel, and we talked about investing in the stock market and using Abraham-style alignment in order to do that. And I know there's a small group of people here in Seattle that are practicing that together and doing what Miles was saying, is setting up a trading account with virtual dollars.
Yeah.
And practicing their trades and getting to know it.
I use Options Express, and they have a great virtual program. Now, I'd like to say a couple other things about this. First, you make your money before you put it in the stock market through the work that you've done in your mind. You make your money first by putting yourself in alignment. So that's extremely important. It's like Rebecca said, if you don't feel good, don't get out of bed. If you don't have your alignment first, don't invest the money because you have work to do. You're not in alignment. So that's part one. Part two is there's a lot of really good people out there, a lot of good metaphysical people, but a lot of good people, period. And a lot of people have considerations about money. And especially, even good people that aren't metaphysical and aren't religious can be very spiritual. And they have all these considerations about money, and like, money's going to get in the way of my spiritual growth. So this brings me to the third point that I really wanted to make, the third and final point that I really wanted to make in this conversation. So I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I dreamed on this the other night, and this is what I got from my dream. All that is wants you to have money or anything else that you want, any other prop, any other thing that you attach value or importance to that makes you feel safe, loved, secure. So all that is behind you 100%. All that is doesn't have any consideration whatsoever about you having a lot of money. It's not a detriment at all. Wherever you go, there you are. And whatever's inside of you vibrationally, you're going to encounter whether you have a lot of money or you don't have a lot of money. That's irrelevant. But what is relevant is this. Can you create your own reality? Can you create a reality where you feel safe and secure and empowered, where you feel joy, excitement, and freedom? And whatever prop you need for that is just fine. And if it's money, go for money. That's not a problem at all from the perspective of all that is. Now, I want to go a step further, just to put this in a framework. When you are on the other side, when you go to non-physical, what do you think you do? You create over there, only you create almost infinitely faster than you create in physical reality. So you're creating the props over there too. You're creating the money, you're creating the buildings, the houses, the people. You know, it's all massive agreements that you're with the people that you're playing with. And it's unlike over here. Over here, you don't have any overlap in realities, and over there you do. And that's a big deal. And it's vibrational. So that, for instance, if you had a relationship with another person, there's no filters there. So when you touch them, you get all of them. So this is not some like easy thing to deal with. This is something you learn to deal with in the course of your life that you carry over into non-physical. But the props, this is the point. You create props over there that make you feel good, just like we create props that are here. The key is this. You know. That's it. You're not a zombie. You don't think that the world is doing this to you. You realize that you're the creator, and you don't get all wrapped up in the physical things and attach a lot of value to, say, you lost the money. End of the world? I don't think so. You created it in the first place. You have the vibrational pathway to create it again. That's why so many people that are millionaires and go broke easily and quickly come back and recreate their next million and their next million and their next million, because they already have the vibrational pathway part nailed down. And then they learn to focus. What happens is they lose it, and all of a sudden their focus gets really good. Before, when they had $1 million, they didn't pay any attention to that penny on the ground, or the 10,000, or the 50,000, because they already got $1 million. But after they lose it all, they're paying attention to the penny and the dollar and the $10 and the 1,000. And all of a sudden they understand the point. The point is not the penny. The point is the flow. Am I in the flow? That's what and the more you're in alignment, the more you're getting in the flow. And when you get in the flow takes you right to whatever it is that you want. And if it's money, because money makes you feel safe, secure, empowered, free, joyous, excited, the universe wants you to go there. The universe is 100% behind you. In fact, one of our favorite sayings is, however much you want it, the universe wants it even more. So can you open up and allow that to happen? And the way, of course, you allow it to happen is by getting in alignment and paying attention to your intuition, impulses, and feelings. And if you have the courage to do that, it will carry you there.
I love that.
Nice.
Yeah, great.
Oh, thank you.
Get a round of applause here. So I'm going to ask Miles 3 more questions, but if anybody has any questions here in the room or on chat, now is a good time to pop up. You can feel free to interrupt us. And Shane, I think you unmuted yourself. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but if it was and you wanted to ask a question, go for it. You're welcome to. So the 3 questions that I'm going to ask Miles, I'm going to ask you to give us your top 3 tips for manifesting in 3 different areas of life. So your top 3 tips for manifesting love, your top 3 tips for manifesting money, and your top 3 tips for, what was the other one? Being happy at work. Since we've covered general stories of each of these.
Sure. Well, the first one is I'm going to do happy at work, but this extends to virtually every area of your life. And it's been a staggeringly powerful tool for me. And that is, so we create our own reality. Well, what does that mean? We create it every instant. So every instant is completely new. There's nothing stored. There's no baggage anywhere that you're carrying, except that you recreate your old vibration in the next instant. You have to drag it in and recreate it. So the power is this. When you're working with other people, the reason they're showing up in your life the way they are is because they are reflecting exactly your vibration back to you. And if it's not pleasant, it's because you have a limiting belief about them. So the most powerful tool that I know and that I use all the time, and I'm going to amend this when I'm done, because Esther's come out with a tool that I think is even more powerful, and I can't wait to share that. But the most powerful tool I know is the Book of Positive Aspects. So whoever you're having a problem with, family member, coworker, doesn't matter. Write their name at the top of the list and write down a list of positive aspects about them. Now, they can't be iffy. You can't say, well, they're good to work with in the morning, but by the afternoon, they're a pain in the butt. No, no, no. They have to be, the things on your list have to be unconditional. You have to be able to put your heart, your soul, your energy behind them. This is about feeling. And feeling is extremely important. Your feeling is your vibration, and that's what the universe is matching. So make your list of positive aspects. And I found that even if I'm not in a good place, maybe it's because I have that channel about good about people, and that's what I sort for, I don't ever have a problem coming up with a list of positive things about people. And so I make the list, and then as I go down the road, if I start to wobble, I go back to my list. I read it with feeling. That's the key, the feeling. I read it with feeling, and then after 17 seconds, the universe must give me another positive attribute to put on my list. The universe doesn't have a choice. I'm in charge. If I feel good, the universe has to match it.
I love it when you say that you've got the universe by the teeth.
By the throat.
By the throat.
And you might as well shake it and get some of those golden eggs. Why not? Yeah. But the key is this, that it's amazing. You can, if you've got 20 minutes and you're on your way to any place, do this. In fact, it's so powerful. If you're in the middle of a phone call and it's going south on you, take a list of paper. And while you listen, start writing down every positive thing you can about them. Now, I have a unique ability to listen and take in what they're saying while I do something else. And so I use that. And I will not stop writing down positive things about Citibank or whoever it is I'm working with until I get the change I want on the other end of the line. And the next thing you know, a supervisor will come on the line and say, Mr. Blount, we really want to make you happy. What can we do for you? Voila. I mean, it's simply amazing. Or when I got this letter from the IRS and I went in to work with my tax agent, you know, I had done all the stuff I'm talking about. So she calls up the IRS and she goes, oh, I never got through so fast. And then the next thing she's saying, this is the nicest agent I ever worked with. And the agent's saying, it's a big mistake. And we're going to send you a letter today telling you that you don't know anything. And it's because I did the pre-paving. It's because I was in a good place before I went in there. So list the positive aspects, pre-pave before you go in. In other words, see a positive outcome. And the last thing is this. A lot of us don't have time to sort out everybody in our life. So Esther has a new thing. It's called 4 seconds of the world in alignment. I say apply that to your life. See if you can get in touch with 4 seconds of everybody showing up in your life today being in alignment. And then see if you can make that 17 seconds and 34 seconds and 50 and a minute. Hey, look, you know, when Esther and Seth talk about working hard, this is how it goes. Seth says, I think you should work at least 5 minutes a day. And Esther said, 4 minutes a day. And what does that mean? That means that if you can put your mind in a non-resistant place, in other words, you've expanded it to the point where you believe in the good, where you believe in the pure positive energy that's flowing, if you can expand your mind to there, non-resistance for 1 minute, 1 minute equals 20 lifetimes of working 50 years, 2,000 hours a year, 1 minute. The real truth is this. There is no cause and effect in physical reality. It's all just a picture. It's actually infinite. But this is a good example. All the work happens in your mind. As Seth says, you get what you focus on, and in this reality, beliefs rule. So when you work with your beliefs, you can get a result. Now people say, well, I work hard and I get results. And this is the model. You work hard, and because you work hard, your beliefs change, and you go, I've worked so hard, this should work out. And naturally, because now you believe that, it does. But what's the ruling factor here is you believe it, you expect it.
So we have Book of Positive Aspects, 4 seconds of alignment,
pre-paving,
and pre-paving. Those are 3 really good tips.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is?
In love and in money.
So, the way it works for me is, when I wake up in the morning, the way I put myself in alignment is, I could say I appreciate stuff, and a rampage of appreciation is a great approach, but I actually do love. So I start, like Rebecca said, before I get out of bed, I start doing love. I love Reba. She's in bed next to me. Oh my God, I've already hit the jackpot, right? I mean, even if I never did another thing, could the day get better than that? You know, I mean, this is like a dream come true, to be in bed with your beloved. And I'm almost going to say something else, but it's just great. It's a great way to start your day, right? And then when I go out into my day, I start to check in with the things that I love if I start to wobble. So now this has amazing effect, because what happens is when you get in alignment with love, so I talked to my guides and I said, talk to me about love. And this is what they told me. And it really stunned me. They said, love is about 2 things, joy and freedom. Now, whatever you're experiencing may or may not be love, but if it doesn't embody joy and freedom, it's not love. So whatever you're experiencing, say, does this make me joyful? And do I feel free? And if you don't, then that, for me, because of my discussion with my guides, I know that that's not love. So I know that that's where I have to go to get into alignment. I have to find my joy. I have to find a sense of freedom. And then I guess the third thing is that Reba and I work so well together. I don't think we've ever had a crossword or hollered at each other. It's just because we love being together and we love working together. I mean, it's amazing. It amazes me. You know, we come back from a trip, we both walk in, and we're not going to stop until everything is put away where it belongs. We can't stop ourselves. We're just so in alignment like that together. Or the things that we do. So we don't have a television. So that means we have to talk. Shock. Well, you know, I am a man and I do have a few deficiencies. So, you know, this has been a learning process for me. And especially when we get into those really, really dangerous areas called emotions. You know, but the more,
don't sell yourself short.
the more I get into it, the more I feel, the more I'm able to be myself and to cry and to allow myself to feel emotions, the more powerful it is for me. So I think those are three things that, you know, to talk and feel your emotions, to get centered on love before I start my day, and then find ways to connect with whatever the second one was.
If it's not joy or freedom?
Yeah, if it's not joy or freedom. Yeah, that's a litmus test for me.
Excellent.
And the third one was?
Money in abundance. Top 3 tips for money in abundance.
Well, and I'm really glad that we got to this, because actually I had a fourth point that I really wanted to get to, and now I'm going to be able to get to it. So this is it. Esther's explained to us that the most powerful, we don't think with our brain. So what we would call intelligence as related to the brain doesn't exist. You think when you're non-physical, you don't have a brain. So it's your ability to focus that takes you deeper. And that's not related to what we would quote unquote call intelligence. But Esther and Abraham and Seth are very clear. Your ability to focus takes you deeper into reality than whoever you're working with doesn't have your focus. Now, you don't have their insight for the areas they're focused on, but vice versa. That makes you unique. And if you have that unique ability in this reality, despite television and newspapers, to focus, that can take you to a really deep place. Now, with money, the key, of course, is to feel it's not, the money's just paper. It's nothing. It's just a permission slip. It doesn't do anything. It's all the meaning that we give to the paper. So take a look at what money means to you. And I would suggest you look at the good things about money. Some people say, well, money's dirty, money gets in the way of this and that, and just the list is endless. But write the list of what works for you for money. It makes me excited. It creates freedom. I'm able to be generous. I'm able to travel and do all the exciting things about money. Now, this is the key. So the most elegant sender and receiver of vibration in the universe is your body. Now, most people think of it as your brain, because that's where people think that their thoughts come from. But it's literally, that's the receiver of vibration. That's the receiver of the thought from your higher self. So you're always in communication with your higher self. And what breaks that loop is your awareness that you're the creator. And then you get to choose your thoughts, and then you get to choose the way you're creating reality. So when you take these feelings about money and you feel them in every cell of your body, that's the key. Don't just feel them in your head or in your shoulders or in your feet or in your legs. Your whole body is the most elegant sender and receiver of vibration in the universe. And your vibration is what creates reality. All that is, eponymously, that's its name, all that is all vibration. All that vibration exists already. It's your vibration, like the piano tuner's tuning fork. When he hits it, whatever's in the room vibrates if it's at that same frequency. It's your vibration that activates what's already there in all that is. So when you can get your body, your whole body in alignment, so start feeling your whole body, start feeling these things, the joy, the freedom, the excitement in every cell of your body. Practice it, work on it. Esther says, fixate on that vibration until you can feel that vibration in your whole body. Then the universe must respond to that vibration. You're creating the response by having the vibration to begin with. The vibration, there's no work. There's nothing to be done. That's why it's called allowing. All you have to do is create the vibration and then allow it to come in. So let's talk about abundance and allowing. So the way it works is when you have a feeling, that's a vibration. The universe sends you energy continuously that's going to recreate that feeling. So when you're feeling bad, you got a steady stream of bad coming in. And if you're feeling good, you got a steady stream of good coming in. So you can see the power, the enormous power of your mind. Your mind is the creator of physical reality by your ability to be like a samurai or a Jedi Knight and hold your focus on what creates a good feeling inside of you. Let's see. So that's one technique. And we talked about money, so I can't think of another technique right now, but
that's good. That's good.
I'm gonna
if
get
that's
my
the most important one, then
yeah. So get an alignment and grid work. I love grid work. So do a grid and write down all the things about money, because this is what happens when you go out into the world and you start to wobble and you've got your grid. All of a sudden, the grid is it's the foundation. So as soon as you start to wobble and you go to your grid, even if it's just in your mind, you don't have the piece of paper there, but you've already done the work. The grid enables you to stabilize yourself. You're going, I don't care that the market's doing this or that. This is where my focus is because of the grid work you've done, and you turn your focus to what you want. And remember what I said earlier, and this is important, and this can be my third one. All that is wants you to have money, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. You're the one here on the leading edge. It doesn't have any considerations about money hampering you in any way. The key is you're the creator. Don't get lost in your creations. Don't start to believe that your health, that your wealth comes from the paper. It doesn't. Your wealth comes from your ability to focus your energy.
Excellent. Thank you, Miles. That was really helpful.
That's a quotable quote.
A quotable quote. Yes, exactly. Does anybody else have any questions? Anyone on the call? Feel free to pop in. It's pretty thorough, huh? Yeah. Excellent. Cool. Let me double check and make sure nobody has popped up on the chat. I don't think we have. Yay! Thank you, Melissa. Thank you for asking your question. We really appreciate that. Great. So it looks like we're all done. Then I will let you guys know when the next one is going to be, and we're going to talk to Raven about creating your local community.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, can't wait.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
All right, everyone. We shall see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.